next question will be answered in the order Emily, Lauren. Okay. As president, would you focus more on being an active leader and participant in protests, or would you focus more on working with administrators and other campus officials? Why? So repeat the question. As president, would you focus more on being an active leader and participant in protests, or would you focus more on working with administrators and other campus officials? Why?
Please take this seriously.
Please take it seriously?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll take it seriously. I think that you need to find a careful balance between both, because I think that if you just work with administrators, you have no, I guess, legitimacy, because if you don't take part in like the grassroots like protest movements, then like you aren't really, I feel like you aren't like standing up for, I don't know, like it's hard for administrators to take you seriously if you're not involved at the like grassroots, like put yourself out there kind of level. This is me taking it seriously. But I think that it is very necessary to interact with the administrators, because ultimately they are the ones with the power. And I think it's naive to believe that like student activists are the ones like who have the power, because I think ultimately like on this campus with like the dean of students that we have, it's like the students don't have the power. Like the activist students, like they are the ones like they work their asses off every day, and they do all these events and all these protests, but they ultimately are not heard, and like besides that, like they aren't even listened to. You know what I mean? Like they aren't even like noticed a lot of times by the administration. So I think that like it definitely like a balance between the two is really necessary. This isn't that funny. He told me to take it seriously, so I'm taking it seriously. I guess that's what I think. Because I guess like I myself am both an activist and someone who interacts with the administration. Like I'm a part of Students for Justice in Palestine, and like my role in that club is essentially to do both of those things. Like I take part in the protests and I do those things, but I also think that it's very necessary to like work with the administration and sort of interact with them, because otherwise like they don't take you seriously, and it's important for them to take you seriously because they have so many ways of like keeping you quiet. And if they don't take you seriously, then they just do that. They just keep you quiet the whole time. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to say that if I was elected president, the administrators would take me seriously because they would have to take me seriously, because I take myself seriously and this campus seriously. Every single member of the student body I take seriously, and that's why I'm running. I'm going to work with administrators who want to support our right to a public education, and I'm not going to work to help them make this process of privatization more efficient and streamlined and make it seem like we have a say in it when really they don't really care what we say. I believe that there are some administrators who do, and I want to work with and support them. And I also do want to organize a student movement on campus. And when I say that, I don't mean just a group of people protesting, but I mean the entire student body getting together, recognizing the fact that this is an issue that affects all of us, and deciding whether or not we're going to stand up and fight for it. Fight for this. The administration is not the only authority on campus. We are the students, and we are the authority on campus, and we need to stand up and realize that for ourselves. Okay. Let's see. 40 seconds. It's funny, you get off, and then it's hard to get back on. We're the authority on campus. Believe in a student movement. We also need to double underrepresented minority enrollment and pass the DREAM Act, because a fight for education has to be a fight for all of us, not just for the people who can afford to go here. And we need to be supporting each other as allies. And we need to be educating each other on how we can be effective and how we can show the administration that we're serious about this, and that we're not going to stop if we don't get what we want after one protest. We're going to keep building, and we're going to keep going, and it may take more than a month, more than a protest, or more than a year, but we're going to keep doing it.
I definitely agree that there does need to be a very good balance between being an active participant in protests, but also being able to engage with administration, because ultimately that would be my job as the ASUC president, to engage with the administration and make sure that student voices are heard. I think that, I will say, however, I think that if students were heard and if the administration were listening to students, there would be a less need for student protests. For example, I was interviewed by the Daily Cow when the students were standing on the roof of Wheeler, and they asked me how I felt about this. And they read off the demands to me. A lot of them had to do with operational excellence. And these were things that I had been fighting for. Getting student representation on the operational excellence committees, different things like that. And I feel like if they would just listen to what we had to say as students, there would be a less need for that. And I just thought it was a shame that it had to get that far. At the same time, I do feel like I would definitely support being involved in different types of movements. I have been involved in different things like, for example, the blackout with the African American students last year, and that wasn't just a fight against hate crimes against Black folks, but it was against the queer community, against Jewish students, that the things that were public, but also standing up against things that aren't necessarily publicized. So just the student involvement in the decision-making processes, that's what I'm advocating for. And I feel like that if we are able to get the students to the administration, then we will have, hopefully a better campus and hopefully a less need for these big movements. So I definitely support some of the movements, and I really want to engage with the students. You have to have a good relationship with the students. You can't just say I'm representing students if you don't know any of them, and if you don't know what they're fighting for. So thank you.
A response?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to make a really quick response to the idea of getting student representation on the Operation Excellence Board. While this is one way to get our student voice heard, I really don't think that this is the most effective way to oppose operational excellence. We need to oppose the very idea of operational excellence and accept that we don't need to capitulate to the idea that these budget cuts are something that we have to affect, that we have to swallow these cuts, and that we just have to work with the resources that are being given us. Not only are we the campus, we're the state, we're this community, and we are representatives of the student body in this entire state, because we're the flagship public university of California. I have 10 seconds left, and I want to make I can't do it in 5 seconds, but I'll try later.